Now, I wanted to always ask you this because after we did that run, of course, you signed that Geffen deal and you put out Pride and Glory, and you were way into Southern sound. And I love Skinner and Eagles, and I love Marshall Tucker and all that. And the Pride and Glory drops, and I think it's it's a masterpiece record, man, out of your catalog. I love it. Shine
Thanks,
On,
brother.
Losing My Mind. What made you ditch that sound after that record?
Well, I mean, we did that. We did that record. We had a blast making the record. Me, JMO, and Bry. When we went up to Seattle and made the record, we had, I mean, an ass kicking time when we made the record. So all I remember is we toured behind it for a bit, and then when we came back, then I remember Oz called me up and was just like, Zakk, we're gonna record this other record. So that's when we went in the studio and we did Osmosis. And I remember we had a blast making that because we were in New York for a while. Then we were in Paris for a bit. And I mean, it was more comedy. I mean, just like more drinking the whole time. I mean, it was just hilarious. So we had a great time making that one. And then with Michael Beinhorn and everything, and Dean Casanova and all the guys. So and Geese was on that one. So that was a lot of fun. And then the Geffen thing kind of, when it was, it just came to an end because Geffen was moving around. John Kalodner left, and I'm like, I'm damaged goods at that point. You know what I mean? It's just because they were getting rid of all the bands at that point, that
Right.
Kalodner had signed. I mean, Jackal had just sold they had another gold record, and they were dropping them.
Wow.
Regardless whether you don't like them or whatever. I'm just saying, if we sign them, I go, this band they're making us money. You know what I mean? But business is business. And they were just like, that's it. They're going to, which is crazy. So, but it is what it is. It's just no hard feelings. It's business,
Yep.
So, I had nothing going on. And I remember the whole time when we were doing Osmosis, there was a bar named Brews, and it was right next to the hotel we were staying out in 34th and Lexington. I remember when we were in New York City, when we were tracking. And every night after we got done tracking, I'd end up going me and you would go bar hopping, and we would go and drinking all night and stuff like that. And then we'd end up in Brews, and they'd end up staying till 5 o'clock in the morning, close the doors, and we'd be drinking there all night, hanging out. And the jukebox was awesome. They had like Stone, Exile on Main Street, Bob Seger records, Neil Young, Eagles. I mean, everything was on this jukebox. I mean, just all this amazing ass kicking stuff. So I remember I'd go back to my room afterwards, and I'd end up I had my acoustic guitar there, and I'd end up writing all this stuff, So after listening to the jukebox all night, and then with all that stuff, eventually just became Book of Shadows. Wow. When I did that, so it was just kind of like Pride and Glory had its run. So I made this record, and then and that was it. And then when the Geffen deal ended, it was like, all right, well, what am I going to do? Because that was 96. And I'd like 97, I'm floating around going, I'm not ready to be a singer-songwriter guy. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to be, just to become Neil Young or Jackson Brown or, just a singer-songwriter or James Taylor type thing. So I was just like, and I love the mellow stuff. But I mean, I was just like, I don't want to do it like full time yet because I still wanted to jam riffs. So I remember I went down to Florida and I met Phil, and me and Phil went down to Phil Ondich. We went down to Florida, and it was just Howard and Ron Albert, who had worked with me on the Book of Shadows record. We went down to Florida, and I got a deal from Japan to do the record, and that's when Black Label was born. And originally, I was figuring out what I was going to call the band. It was like Hell's Kitchen, and then Black Label, and then the Black Label. I was just thinking of things, and then Black Label Society. I ended up coming up with that, and then we did the album down there. And once again, me and Phil had a blast making that record, and it was just and that was the big. And then it started all over again. Right. And it was just from the ground up again. I mean, it was just kind of like. Because I was playing with Guns N' Roses at the time too. Because I was jamming with Guns while we were doing Osmosis, then doing and playing with Oz, and then Guns, and then that fell through the cracks, and it was kind of like, well, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? It was just I had these riffs laying around, and I was like, I'll just do Black Label. So
Yeah.
that's, you know, what I mean, I had these riffs laying around. Like I said, I still wanted to do, I still